From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. We're in the month of February, believe it or not, and a short month it is, but a also very busy one in terms of a lot of things going on. First of all, it's Black History Month. So for our fellow Americans, as we learn more about Black history this month, looking forward to that. The other news here, and I didn't have enough time to prep for it, but over the weekend, devastating news for the CISO community of the untimely passing of Sean Bowen, the one of the CISOs over at Microsoft. On one of their lines of business, Sean has been a staunch cybersecurity advocate for many, many years. Everyone who's known Sean speaks very, very highly of him. I've met Sean a few times in my career, and he was always a stand-up gentleman. So it's again, life is way, way too short. So my thoughts and prayers are with his family, with the Microsoft family, and with the CISO family at large, as we mourn the loss of another cybersecurity pioneer with Sean Bowen. So with that being said, folks, we'll kick off this morning's show. A lot to talk about, right? Deepseek getting more and more bans, more information coming out there. Tata Technologies going under a ransomware attack, and some jailbreaks as well. Some good guys prevail. So join me for a coffee cup cheers this morning. I've got my double espresso. Let me know what you're drinking in the comments. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Let's kick off with, there we go. This did it again. All right. So Tata Technologies, which is essentially a subsidiary of Tata Motors, which is an Indian public multinational tech firm. Tata creates vehicles. I think they also own, if I'm not mistaken, Range Rover at this time. I think they bought Range Rover. So either way, their IT arm has had to suspend its IT services following a ransomware attack that impacted the company's network. Tata is huge in India, by the way, folks. I think they employ over 11,000 people, have an annual revenue of 600 million. They operate in 18 locations in India, North America, Europe, and APAC. The company said in a notification to the Indian Stock Exchange that the ransomware attack has temporarily affected IT assets that have now been restored. Client delivery remains fully operational through the cyber attack, though causing no impact on customer operations. The question is, did it cause impact on customer data? A precautionary measure, some of the IT services were suspended temporarily. They've now been restored. A detailed investigation is underway. So at this time, there's not a lot of information there, and there's no ransomware group claiming this attack as their own. So there's that. So, all right, coffee drinkers, we've got black coffee. No. All right, and Costa Rican. I'll take Costa Rican black. Costa Rican black is good coffee. Central America has unbelievable, hugely underrated. Central America, hugely underrated coffee. All right. Russian attackers are suspected of compromising Britain's prime minister's personal email account. Now, to calm you down, it's not his. It wasn't while he was prime minister. It was when he was a prosecutor and a labor leader in opposition. According to a new book titled Get In, it revealed that in 2022, Starmer, then the labor leader in opposition, was told his email account may have been compromised by Kremlin-linked attackers. He was forced to change his email address, and guess what he had to do? MFA. Yep. This is the Prime Minister of Canada. About 2 years before he became prime minister, having his email hacked, letting you know the Russians kind of identified him as a potential successor. We're looking for ways to get some insights into Starmer, and he didn't have two-factor authentication. I mean, these politicians are inept, just by nature, inept at doing even the very basics. They feel like they're above everything. So the labor leader, senior advisors were briefed on the hack by the NCSC, a part of Britain's Cyber and Signal Intelligence Agency, GCHQ. According to the book, Starmer himself was told that while there was no evidence his personal emails had been published, there's no guarantee that sensitive information would not have been compromised. The hack came at the same time as other British officials were being targeted by Russia. And again, this was likely at the heels of the Ukrainian war, as more and more countries were kind of building up more support for the Ukraine. According to the British government, Center 18's previous targets in the UK involved Sir Richard Dearlove, the former head of Secret Intelligence Services, and think tank for Statecraft, which has worked on countering Russian information operation. So there's that. We'll move to Deepseek. So this is huge. And in the way that you're starting to see some governors, because for those who don't know, because we have a very, very broad audience on the show. So for our international audience, technically the most powerful person in your life is not the president of the United States, although the last 20 years have kind of reshaped that. Technically, based if you follow the Constitution and the founders, it should be your governor. And so when governor exercises their actions this way, it really does set the tone. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott issued a ban on Deepseek for government-issued devices, becoming the first state to restrict the chatbot in this manner. The upstart AI platform is sending shockwaves. The governor also prohibited Chinese-owned social media apps, Xiangxiao, or what other people are calling it, Rednote, and Lemonade from all state-issued devices. Texas will not allow the Chinese Communist Party to infiltrate our state's critical infrastructure through data harvesting AI in social media apps. Texas will continue to protect and defend our state from hostile foreign actors. The governor's office declined further comment outside of the statement, but nonetheless, Texas now, along with many other states and federal governments, have banned TikTok from government devices, as well as other Chinese apps from making it their active action. Italy, for their end, as if you recall, on Thursday, we talked about how Italy sent out a request to DeepSeek AI to get information about their data collection and what they're using the data for and so forth. Well, while they were waiting for an answer, they decided to go ahead and block access to it, announcing an investigation into the companies behind the chatbot. So Garnata first expressed dissatisfaction with their response to the initial query, and now said, "You're banned." Guess what? Banned. Banned again and banned again in Italy. You're banned. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Just entertainment on a Monday morning here. That's why you tune in, right? Italy banning it is significant in the EU because it's kind of showing you the split in the EU over tech. So there's that. For those who follow what's going on with the spyware incident in Poland, this is huge. So Poland was kind of at the heart of the NSO Pegasus spyware ring. It was reported that the Polish government was using Pegasus to spy on political adversaries, journalists, and citizens in the country. And now the justice minister who authorized and signed off on the use of government money to pay for spyware that was used on opposition leaders has been arrested. His name is Zbigniew Ziobro. He was the justice minister for 8 years from 2015 to 2023. His arrest follows earlier this week the country's former internal security agency chief, Piotr Punigowski, according to local news reports. Zaboro's arrest is the latest high-profile action in a probe the country's new prime minister has undertaken to mete out justice for nearly 600 people who have believed to have been victims of spyware attacks, the abuse taking place from 2017 to 2022. In February, current Prime Minister Donald Daniel Tusk said that he had surfaced documents which 100% confirmed the prior administration had used the powerful zero-click spyware Pegasus to target opponents. Poland's probe has been going on for years. In September, the country's Senate announced that a commission investigating whether Pegasus has been deployed to hack an opposition politician's device found gross violations of constitutional standards. Personal note here. It's refreshing to see this actually happen. It's refreshing to see the people who violated the law and targeted their political opposition get arrested and get charged. It's a sign of a healthy democracy when your opposition is when someone goes against the rule of law and is held accountable irregardless to the position they had. Human rights advocates are now praising Poland for its attempt to hold those responsible accountable. And again, Poland, not your typical EU nation. They have a better economy than most of the EU. They're not allowing immigrants into the EU. They've only taken in Ukrainian immigrants. They won't take in any other immigrant to the EU. They want to hold people to the same standards of Polish life. The people in Poland have a great quality of life. And guess what? Microsoft, a lot of big companies have a lot of dev centers and engineering centers in Poland, and rightfully so. You see that there as well. So that's some good news there. Kaseyo just can't seem to get away from this. So Kaseyo UK and 16 other victims have fallen victims to a web skimmer that altered the payment flow to harvest and exfiltrate visitor information, according to Jay Scrambler. On the electronics company's UK website, the infection was active between January 14th and 24th. It was removed last week after being discovered. And here's the thing. You operate an e-commerce site, your payment page, that's literally that's where you have all your monitoring, where you have a lot of your security. That's where you're paying the most attention, because all other information like product information and pricing doesn't matter. The store doesn't matter. The payment side and the delivery side do matter. And it's just heartbreaking to see that skimming is still a thing. If you operate an e-commerce site and you don't understand that, you have no right to be in business. Absolutely disturbing. According to Jay Scrambler, the skimmer attack on Kaseya was possible because the website had a content security policy set to report only, meaning events were only logged, but they were never failing to prevent. And again, the difference between putting monitoring and then actually doing something with it are two very, very different things. And a lot of times people will do, hey, report it only, don't stop it. Meanwhile, if you don't stop it, you're a victim of a crime. And this is the case for Kaseyo there as well. PyPy have announced the introduction of Project Archival, a new system that allows publisher to archive their projects, indicating to the users that no updates are to be expected. This is in a way to make sure that threat actors can't issue a new update to the project, and then essentially build a backdoor to it. The new features is seeking to improve the security of the supply chain, as hijacking developer accounts and publishing malicious updates has become really common in PyPy. So according to PyPy, here's how this project works, and this is a detailed blog from Trail of Bits. The PyPy's new project archival system, the features provides a maintainer-controlled status that allows project owners to mark their projects as archived. That signals users there'll be no further update, fixes, or maintenances. PyPy recommends that maintainers release a final version before archiving a project to include details and explanation about the reason behind it. Although that isn't mandatory, the maintainers can take two. The maintainers can unarchive their project at any time in the future if they choose to resume work on it. So it's not permanent, but nonetheless, it lets you know. And you see it here pretty noticeable there. And so one thing I would do with this is update policy and maybe update kind of the staff. This is what's happening in PyPy. Just be advised. We want to review all end-of-life packets that you're putting in and build some sort of process to make sure you get it reviewed so that they're using the right projects in PyPy. There's a new jailbreak that's manipulating GitHub's AI code assistant Copilot, enabling the ability to bypass some security restrictions and even subscription fees, train malicious models, and more. The first trick, according to researchers, involves embedding chat interactions inside of a Copilot code, taking advantage of the AI's instinct to be helpful in order to get it to produce malicious outputs. The second methods focus on rerouting Copilot through a proxy server in order to communicate directly with the open AI models it integrates with. Researchers from Apex deem these issues vulnerabilities. GitHub disagrees. They characterize them as off-topic chat responses and an abuse issue, respectively. In response from dark reading, GitHub wrote, "We continue to improve on safety measures in place to prevent harmful and offensive outputs as part of our responsible AI development. Furthermore, we continue to invest in opportunities to prevent abuse, such as the one described in issue 2, to ensure our intended use of our products." So a jailbreak in AI there. British government is falling short of its goals to significantly fortify civilian IT systems to withstand cyber attacks by 2025. Auditors warning in a report that much of the officialdom runs on legacy system. The UK vowed in 2022 a strategy for cybersecurity to significantly upgrade the defenses of critical functions against cyber attacks over the next 30 years. The entire public sector strategy said should be resilient to known vulnerabilities and attacks no later than 2030. The Government Audit Office on Wednesday released a report laying much of the blame on legacy systems. And again, this goes into the idea. You're going to have legacy. If you're going to upgrade, then you got to have the money for it. And you've got to have a plan. If you're going to rip something old out, that means that you're scheduling an outage, right? Whether it be in IT, in energy, in oil and gas, meaning you've got to make up for it. There's got to be, kind of bypasses in order not to cause inconvenience to people or to operations, because at the end of the day, that really matters. And if you can't do that, then you've got to secure your legacy systems the best as you can. You've got to look at new ways to enhance that, and you've got to spend money there, or you've got to build a plan that says we're going to start transitioning out. We're going to build something new right next to the legacy system, plug that in, then rip the legacy system out. That's another option. Here, however, that's not the case. According to the Government Audit Office, the resiliency of hundreds of aging legacy IT systems that departments still use is likely to be worse, if not fully remediated, plans for half of these. So just letting you know, just absolute chaos in the UK. I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Again, what we're seeing is government functions really, really slow. And if you've learned nothing over the last year or so, is technology is moving so much faster than any of us could have ever imagined, right? Think of generative AI and its use case and how it's being applied and the future of what it's going to do. I mean, we're quickly reaching the mode where generative AI and robotics are going to integrate in a way we've never seen before. And when that happens, you're talking about another industrial revolution, right? Because a lot of the jobs that may be just humans doing something are going to be gone with generative AI and advanced robotics. When those two merge and they fully merge, you're going to see a lot of those kind of like little sticky things go away. Those jobs will go away. And if you don't address these risks now, and if you're still lacking on the basics of IT, how are you going to deal with this new technology that's going to come forth? A lot of governments that are unprepared for it. A lot of them. So there's that. And finally, authorities in the US and Netherlands announced a disruption of a Pakistani-based network of illicit online marketplaces that's selling hacking and fraud-enabling tools. According to law enforcement action, the Operation Heart Blocker blocked 39 domains that were seized and servers. For roughly 5 years, those websites have operated by a threat actor known as Saim Raza and Heart Sender and advertised for facilitating fraud. Since 2020, Saim Raza has been selling phishing toolkits, scam pages, email extorters, and cookie grabbers for transitional organized crime groups who use them to cause more than $3 million in losses to victims in the U.S. Saim Raza says the DOJ made these fraud-enabling tools available on the open internet. The tools were advertised as being undetectable by anti-spam solutions, and many people have fallen victims to that. So now all of those systems are offline. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest and greatest. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.